There are soil tricks that quietly travel through generations because they work, and then there are the ones that stun you the first time you watch them unfold. This is one of those. The combination sounds almost too simple to be meaningful. Banana peels and plain paper layered together in a bed or compost trench. But when you study the chemistry, the microbial chain reaction, and the historical use of layered organic waste, the results make perfect sense. In just a few days, the mixture heats, collapses, and breaks down into a rich, nutrient-dense layer that plants treat like fuel. Gardeners who use it swear by the speed. Survivalists value it because it works even in poor soil. And history buffs recognize it immediately as a modern reflection of old-world waste-layering methods used long before synthetic fertilizers ever existed. The reaction begins with how fast potassium-rich peel breaks down when trapped against high-carbon paper. Banana peels are loaded with potassium, magnesium, and simple carbohydrates. They break down quickly because microbes can digest them without much effort. Paper, especially old newspaper, office paper, or unbleached packing paper, is almost pure carbon. On its own, it decays slowly, often too slowly to be useful in short-term garden building. But when you press these two ingredients together, something entirely different happens. The peel's moisture activates the paper, softening it and giving microbes a surface that no longer behaves like dry carbon, but more like a hydrated carbon mat. Meanwhile, the paper traps the heat created by microbial activity inside the peel. This sets off a chain reaction that feeds on itself. The result is a collapse of the paper fibers and rapid breakdown of the banana peel, forming a nutrient layer that mixes into surrounding soil within a week. The reason this method behaves like a medieval waste trench technique. Across Europe and Asia, old farming communities created trenches layered with straw, food scraps, and parchment or scrap cloth. They observed that nitrogen-laden material broke down faster when sandwiched between carbon-heavy pieces. It was a controlled decay system. What you are doing with banana peels and paper is simply a miniature version of this ancient technique. Instead of waiting months for a compost pile to ripen, you create a targeted micro-compost zone exactly where plants need it. This is why the breakdown is so violent in the first few days. The ancients knew that if you confined waste between carbon sheets, heat could not escape, and microbes worked harder. The same rule applies today in garden beds, raised beds, and planting holes. The best way to apply this method so the reaction benefits your plants, instead of, overheating them, is actually quite straightforward. To use this effectively, start with a shallow trench or planting row. Lay down a sheet of paper, then add banana peels in a single layer. Cover with another sheet of paper. Repeat the process until you have a stack about 2 to 3 layers deep. Then cover everything with 2 to 3 inches of soil. If you want faster heat, just moisten the stack lightly before covering. For raised beds, you can place this layer about a hand's depth below where roots will eventually sit. The heat from the breakdown will warm the soil above it slightly, which is extremely helpful in cool climates or during early planting seasons. Over the course of days, the paper will soften, collapse, and absorb minerals released by the peel. The banana peel turns into a black, sticky substance rich in potassium, which strengthens plant stems, supports flowering, and enhances fruiting. Now, let's talk about how to apply this method to different garden situations with proven survivalist efficiency. In poor soil, where nutrients leach quickly, this method acts like a time-release packet. For survival gardening, where you are relying on minimal inputs, the peel paper system gives you a predictable nutrient pulse. If you are planting fruiting crops such as tomatoes, peppers or squash, place a 2-layer stack directly under the transplant hole. The roots will reach the nutrient mass just as flowering begins. For berry bushes or young trees, create a ring of peel paper layers a few inches outside the root zone. As water moves through that ring, the nutrients slowly travel inward, feeding the plant without burning it. For container growers, tearing the paper into pieces before layering prevents clumping and creates a more even breakdown through the pot. And for large-scale bed building, alternating peel paper strips across the entire bed can improve soil structure far faster than compost alone. You might be wondering why the reaction becomes so intense and how to control it for long-term benefit. The fast breakdown occurs because potassium-rich waste feeds bacteria that multiply extremely rapidly, and those bacteria generate heat as they digest. The paper holds that heat like an insulator. When you bury the stack, you trap the warmth and moisture even further. This is why the reaction can look almost explosive when uncovered after a few days. If you want to amplify the effect, use warm water when moistening the paper. If you need to slow it down, use cooler water and add a small handful of soil between layers to spread the microbes more evenly. Either way, the end product becomes a dark, crumbly material indistinguishable from mature compost. It blends seamlessly into the surrounding soil and continues releasing nutrients for weeks afterward. This method deserves a place in modern gardens because it delivers results with minimal resources. For gardeners who prefer simplicity and for survivalists who value reliable low-input systems, this peel paper method stands out. It relies entirely on materials that already exist in most households. It works in poor soil, rich soil, in containers, or in large beds. It mirrors the old layering strategies that kept medieval fields fertile before industrial fertilizers came along. Most importantly, it gives you an immediate nutrient boost without waiting months for composting. What starts as scraps and waste becomes a powerful soil-building engine with almost no effort. Thank you for watching Farm Logic. If you want more tested methods that combine old-world knowledge with modern practicality, make sure to subscribe and share this video so more growers can learn these forgotten techniques.